Look, man, there's a lot going on in the world right now. Lots of things to be alarmed about, and for good reason. But there are also plenty of people that know plenty more than I do on those subjects, and you should probably listen to them. In the meantime, you're here on this stupid channel, and all I can do is sound the alarm bells on something I know a little bit about. So here it goes. Bit dramatic, I know. Welcome to Cultured. We're back at it, trying to build this channel from the ground up. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. We recently passed 1,000 subscribers, which is incredibly exciting. You can also go to the website, tmt.media, and check out our podcast. There are some fun ones on there. I love this little community we're building. Great discourse in the comments. Hopefully I can hold up my end of the bargain every week with smart commentary. Not this week, though, unfortunately, because we're talking Tom Brady. Tom Brady leaving football for the motion pictures. That's today's headline. To which I say, what the hell, man? What the hell? Is this what it was like seeing Fat Elvis in Vegas? Like seeing Jake LaMotta do stand-up? Marlon Brando do The Island of Dr. Moreau? What the hell, Tom Brady? What the hell? This man is the greatest quarterback God ever created. 7-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time NFL MVP, all-time leader in passing touchdowns, all-time leader in passing yards. Both of those stats, by the way, he just led the league in last season at the age of 44. Tom Brady, bane of my existence as a New York Jet fan, apple of my eye as the owner of my fantasy football team, reader of defenses, endorser of elegance, king of crypto. The man was selected 199th overall in the NFL draft, looking like this, and he went on to become America's premier trophy husband. It doesn't get any better than that, folks. Gisele Bündchen. Now, after a run that not even Forrest Gump could have completed, Tom Brady has decided to retire. Just a year removed from a Super Bowl and a few months from perhaps his most prolific statistical season ever. The move was met with respect and admiration from those in the media and the public at large. Most people thought it was his right to go out on his own terms, but there were also people like me who were skeptical. Sure, the man has nothing more to prove, but still, the what ifs are impossible not to utter. What if he kept going? What if he made it to 45? 50? What if he switched teams again, proved he could win somewhere else? And of course, the big what if he retired too soon? What if Tom Brady, in the midst of his extended prime, left Super Bowl rings on the table? But we were told this is about more than just football. Apparently, Tom needs to focus on the more important things, like being a good husband or father or some crap like that. I know, get a load of Mr. Rogers over here. But whatever, right? Go live your life, Tom Brady. Go parent someone other than Antonio Brown for a change. You've earned it. And besides, riding off into the sunset with your health and dignity intact is much better than the alternative. Some players go out like Seinfeld, and some go out like the Jersey Shore. To protect his legacy, Tom Brady is choosing the former and going out on top. Right? Wrong! He's not riding off into the sunset. He's not leaving us wanting more. He's not going out with Mystique. He's just ditching Mike Evans and Chris Godwin for Grace and frickin' Frankie. Guys, I'm really torn up about this. For the next chapter in Tom Brady's life, he'll be teaming up with Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, Rita Moreno, and Sally Field as the star of the road trip comedy 80 for Brady. I'm reading this off of The Hollywood Reporter. Inspired by a true story, 80 for Brady tells of 4 best friends and New England Patriot fans who take a life-changing trip to 2017 Super Bowl 51 to see their quarterback hero Tom Brady play, and the chaos that ensues as they navigate the wilds of the biggest sporting event in the country. Tomlin, Fonda, Moreno, and Field will play the quartet. Kyle Marvin, the co-writer of the indie dramedy The Climb, will direct this thing in his directorial debut. Notice it's not the Safdie brothers or Spike Lee, who are known to get good performances out of athletes. It's some dude named Kyle Marvin. Paramount Pictures will distribute. Tom Brady will produce through his production company 199 Productions, and I will sit in the theater and vomit. knowing he gave up football for this nonsense. From TB12 to TB 9 to 5. I'm not kidding. I was downright disturbed when this news broke. And I know I sound absolutely mental, but I mean it. This is the worst timeline we're living in. I would rather watch a Bill Belichick sex tape than a Tom Brady road trip movie. This is a disaster. Now, of course, it's incredibly common for professional athletes to make the jump from sports to acting. Carl Weathers played in the NFL. Terry Crews played in the NFL. O.J. Simpson, believe it or not, before he became a best-selling author, played in the NFL. In fact, Jim Brown, who many consider to be the greatest football player of all time, quit football to pursue acting. It's a true story. It's 1966. Jim Brown had just won MVP. He led the league in rushing, as he did 7 other times, by the way. He was the best football player on the planet. No one would argue with you. The NFL season ends. Jim Brown takes a flight to London. He starts filming this movie, The Dirty Dozen. Perhaps you've heard of it. Perhaps your grandfather has been watching it on Turner Classic Movies when you walk into the room by mistake. If you don't know the story, it's a World War II movie. It's about these convicts that are released from prison to go fight in France. At that point, I think it was only Jim Brown's second movie. And you watch it today, it doesn't really hold up. It's directed by this guy, Robert Aldridge, who today you would think of as a B-movie director, but it's violent, it's fun, it had a lot of movie stars, Lee Marvin, Ernest Borgnine, Charles Bronson, and it made a lot of money, kickstarting a nice second career for Jim Brown. Anyway, turns out, in the summer of 1966, it rained a lot in London, and production kept getting delayed, and eventually, it started eating into NFL training camp. So Jim Brown ended up missing a lot of practices. Now, today, that is seen as incredibly normal. Athletes will skip training camp, they'll hold out for more money, especially the high-profile ones. They're empowered to do so. But in 1966, even the best player on the planet has to face consequences. So the owner of the Browns, this guy, Art Modell, started fining him $100 for every day he missed, to which Jim Brown said, in the words of the great Billy Joe Armstrong, good riddance. He retired. Never played another snap. Now, I am well aware that Tom Brady does not have the same ambitions as Jim Brown, and I am also well aware that 80 for Brady will not be another Dirty Dozen. It'll most likely be a disposable comedy in the vein of, say, Space Jam or Thunderstruck. Sure, Brady is listed as executive producer, but his appearance will probably be closer to his work in Entourage or Ted 2, a glorified cameo designed to generate headlines, not the beginning of his career as the next Jerry Bruckheimer. But if Tom is forced to actually act in the film, he will, of course, be exceptionally horrible. Tom Brady's not The Rock. We know that. And for that matter, he's not Michael Jordan. He is wired to play quarterback. So my question to him is, why not do that as long as humanly possible? And I know this rant sounds vaguely similar to Shut Up and Dribble, and that would make me, of course, a selfish prick that judges another person's life choices by how they affect me. To which I say, guilty as charged. Tom Brady owes me nothing. He has earned the right to take the money whenever it presents itself. But I think my issue here, as always, is a little more existential. I suppose the term Renaissance man has been around since, well, the Renaissance. But it seems to me, at least in recent years especially, the rise of automation and the decline of specialization has led people to believe that they must be good at everything all at once. And maybe that's true. If you're like me and you're making content on the internet, just being a writer, just being an editor, just being a podcast host may not be good enough. But on the flip side, is it possible to wear too many hats at once? Are we diluting our talents by straying too far outside our lane, by aiming at everything without getting good at anything in particular? Some studies suggest that multitasking reduces productivity by up to 40%. And in a culture where the highest aspiration is literally everything, there's no reason why that number couldn't go even higher. Now, I'm not suggesting that you can't have multiple interests, that you can't be a multi-dimensional human being. LeBron James is more than an athlete, just like my father is more than a cabinet maker, like my grandfather is more than a plumber, and like I am more than an unemployed wannabe YouTuber. But perhaps those titles ought to be enough. There's a small group of people on this planet who will never be great at anything no matter how hard they try. And then there's an even smaller group that would be great at pretty much anything without much resistance. And then there's the rest of us, each possessing a limited but unique set of skills that often go untapped. But if the stars align, this group of people is capable of being great at exactly one thing. I suspect Tom Brady, like the rest of us, is in that third category. His money and his name recognition may propel him to success in other fields, but he is singularly great at playing quarterback. And that's not an insult, by the way. In fact, quite the opposite. It is his single-mindedness that makes him great at what he does. The guy was never the best athlete in the room. He didn't have the best arm. He wasn't the most accurate. He wasn't the fastest. And because of that, he set his sights on a single point and went at it as fast and hard as he possibly could. His limitations were his strength. So fine, Tom. As always, you win. Go to Hollywood, go make Steel Magnolias 2, go get this latest brand building exercise out of your system. But when you're done, go drop the kids off at school, get a cup of coffee with Giselle, and let's give this whole football thing another brainstorming session, okay? I'll be here waiting. This is Cultured. We will see you next week.